2002, I started AGJ with two friends of mine. And we were great techs, but we quickly found out we didn't know a lot about managing the business, about running the business. And every day for years it seemed like, we felt like we were the only people in the world having some of these problems. We didn't know there were other companies out there that were kind of struggling with some of these same issues. We learned a lot. Obviously, trial and error, you got to learn something. So we learned a lot, but we just really weren't making a lot of progress. So a couple years ago, we found out about an MSP university and got involved and came to our first boot camp in December of last year in Orlando, almost 9 years at the time. We were still just kind of breaking even, we really weren't over the hurdle. We had started implementing managed services, but after a few years, we had, 2% of our customers moved. We just didn't feel like we were moving fast enough. So at our first boot camp, I left with reams of paper and notes. Got back to the office, started trying to implement, got a few of them implemented, and just realized that I may not have the time or the knowledge to do this. And that's when we started talking to Eric a little bit more about, hey, can you help? How can you help? He came on site. We had a good portion of the morning blocked off for the whole office. We had all the staff on board. So after we spent some time with the whole staff, we broke it up in the afternoon and had more of a partner executive meeting. We went over some of the hardcore financial data to really try to find out where we were, where we want to be. Some of the leadership comes in there, started strategizing, talk about long-term goals, short-term goals. Our organizational chart, we didn't really have one, and if we would have tried to put it on paper, it was a mess. So Eric helped us with that. We started off with a template that he provided. We filled in the roles, kind of got the right people in the right place there, who was reporting to who. And by looking at some of our reporting, Eric said, you're not really spending any money in marketing. Well, that's because I was creating the collateral, that we would send out for marketing campaigns, 8 o'clock on a Thursday night while I'm trying to eat dinner. And so we said, let's start devoting some resources to some of that. So we've created, we hired our first full-time salesperson. One of the first things Eric saw, he said, we have got to get you a full-time dispatcher. We did not have a dispatcher. Immediately hired a dispatcher, we hired a salesperson, and those roles have more than paid for themselves. It's really turned the business around. It's night and day as to how it was before. And two, sometimes when you're changing big parts of the business, I don't do that every day, and Eric does. So when he volunteered to have this conference call and kind of break the news to people on some changes, even changes that are for the best, we didn't necessarily know how to tell people some of that news. So he said, let me do it. I can take care of it. It was really nice to have an outside expert come in and relay that info to the troops. But at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter, when you run the P&L and it doesn't show a big profit or much profit at all, how did I spend my money or my time for that time period? We really didn't have a way to manage that or to gauge that. The things Eric and them really did, we completely reconfigured our PSA from the ground up. At the same time, we looked at our accounting system, we used QuickBooks, and reconfigured it at the same time to match, and kind of got our lines of business in order. We do web design, we do break fix, we do special projects, we do MSP. That's kind of our 4 core competencies. But if we didn't make money that month, we couldn't look at one line of business and say that's what brought us down or that's what made the money. We were really guessing. So after reconfiguring the PSA and QuickBooks to match, now I can go in and say, man, web was extremely profitable last month, break fix wasn't, what are we going to do about it? We can make intelligent decisions on, maybe if web's not profitable, we can start pulling resources from that and reallocating them. It really gives us more insight into how the business runs. We had always been very hesitant of outsourcing help desk. We felt like nobody could do it quite as good as we did. We're in Mississippi, so it's all about Southern hospitality. But the first time that customer calls at 3 in the morning and gets somebody instead of my voicemail, they don't mind where that person is sitting. We had a weekly standing phone call. He would post goals, timelines. We would make sure we met those every week, and we would have the deliverables uploaded to the project management website before we had the phone call. That would give him time to review them, and he would sometimes respond with questions. In some cases, it was information that someone else had. Maybe that was something that our bookkeeper needed to do, and it's just a matter of staying on top of them. You got to have this done. I need it the day before so I can review it. In some cases, it was stuff that I did, so I got to have this P&L done before tomorrow morning. And it forced me. I like to say, as a business owner, I'm looking at the P&L every month anyway. Kind of gives you a chance to look at those, and then when you're looking at it all on one spreadsheet, it's easy to see. Okay, why did in February our copier cost triple? It kind of gives you an opportunity to look at some of that. Things that we should all be doing as business owners, but we may not be. It kind of forces us to do that, and it creates good habits that will stay with you even after the engagement ends. Bottom line, our profit for the first quarter of 2011 has increased 109%, and that is more than double than what we did last year. This year our goal is $2 million, and we're on track to do well over that. That's a substantial goal, 30% increase. The engagement with MSPU has definitely changed our business. The SWAT really said, okay, by Wednesday I've got to have this done for Eric, and we just made sure it happened every time. And it kind of forces you to take that look into the business and see what you don't know.